Welcome to BizTech's Job Show. Now, on the show this month, we're going to be bringing in HR experts and industry leaders to give you insights into the job market across the region. Now, who's hiring, who's not, what are the skill sets in demand, and how you can stand out from other candidates in this challenging job market. Now, our guest today is Harry Antarakis, the CEO of MyJobs in Myanmar. Now, he's going to share his insights into the job market in Myanmar this year and also what we could look forward to in 2021. Welcome to the show, Harry.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Now, Harry, how did the pandemic impact the job market in Myanmar in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, since April, effectively, 1st of April, we saw a huge drop of people trying to employ people. Basically, the companies didn't have a lot of listings. They started dropping. They were very careful. Then we saw an increase, a bit of job listings around June, July, thinking that the situation is getting better. Then you have a second, the second wave of the pandemic here, and people again closed in. So they try. How can I put it? There were about 40 to 50% drops in available jobs in the market, and at the same time,
That's a huge drop.
Wow. Yeah, John. And also people were laid off. So it's not only that there were less jobs in the market, but also companies try to save money by cutting staff. And at the same time, you have a lot of expats leaving around April, by the end of April, because at the moment the pandemic came here, they said, okay, I have kids, I have family, I go back to Germany, I go to France, I go to Australia, I go where they thought it was more safe, which was not the case actually. So
which is not the case, yeah.
So basically you have this situation that between April and even today, it's very difficult to come back for business even. So effectively, basically you stay away. So some big companies kept staff remotely, some of the expats, for a few months, and then actually they let them go, because they realized they couldn't see them coming back, so because there were no flights, to come in.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the case. But now we see there is because of the vaccine, probably because the elections took place here in November, there is some kind of more positive mood, which is strange because you have more cases than before. But at the same time, people seem to be more positive. I think they see, okay, there's a vaccine coming up.
Now, can I ask you, during this year, I'm sure some industries, most of the industries by and large were impacted negatively, but were there some industries in Myanmar that were still hiring and were impacted positively?
Yeah, you've got the companies involved in medical products. So they basically medical, in general medical. So they try to employ more people. The people in food delivery, so retailers focused on doing delivery. So they started employing people to deliver, the goods. So they try to basically sell like this. So these were the biggest actually, and the biggest drops were in basically from F&B in general. There was in tourism, of course, industry, and construction. They lost, and some factories. So blue collar workers also had some big issues there.
Okay, so this is very much consistent with most markets around the world. So there was no difference in terms of who was impacted positively and who was impacted negatively. But now, as you mentioned, there is a renewed optimism after the elections. Now, which of your clients are hiring? Are they local companies? Are they foreign companies?
Yeah, I mean, there are companies which are some local conglomerates. For example, conglomerates here are like, they have maybe supermarkets and selling also cars, So there are companies who are like this here with local conglomerates. And you have companies who are invested from foreign entities, been here for a long time as well. So these bigger organizations, they started, for example, one company called DKSH is like in FMCG, they employ heavily. We've got, there's also new jobs that I can see from my systems. I'm here checking, my what we have. We have, for example, some. Let me check which one is that. For example, some telcos, started employing back people. So the bigger companies which make longer planning, they started saying, okay, I have to plan ahead. So they're planning basically, if they start employing now, they will get the people in by January, February. Hopefully that March already will be a better market. So they will take advantage of the opening of the wave. So these
Okay.
guys who have cash, they will do it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, is there now, because you mentioned earlier that a lot of expats have lost their jobs, basically companies realized they couldn't bring in people and therefore it was
Yeah.
pointless to employ these expats. It was a cost reason. It's also an operational reason. Therefore, moving forward, where are the opportunities? Because they seem then that will give me a perception that actually there's export jobs that are going to be available very soon in 2021.
Actually, in front of me now, I mean, I'm checking, I'm a bit, I'm just blowing my own horn here. You know, I'm checking on my website because we have also an agency, a hunting unit on top of this. So our own agency at the moment has an open job for a CEO in a company here in real estate and property management, and the salary range between $8,000 to $10,000 a month. So this is a very good job, you know. I mean, for any country, yeah. And then you've got, for example, some jobs like a finance manager. This again from my agency, and this is between $1,500 to $2,300 a month. You know, so you have.
That's a local salary kind of thing.
Actually, it's a very good local salary. I mean, if you are here, it's a very good one. So people who are in the country and they are expats and they remain here, they can find this kind of opportunities. So you have this range from 2,000, 3,000 to 8,000 to 10,000, you know, appearing.
Wow. Okay, so that's a big gap. Now, if you're an expat in Myanmar, which sectors are actually hiring expats?
Okay, they are hiring in larger real estate companies. I mean, bigger operations.
When you say real estate, is that specifically in property development type companies, or is that in more of a sales type organizations?
Actually, more on the construction. So you have some big projects here. Okay. For example, some this Japanese investment here, for example, heavily. There is some Korean investments. So these guys are building some big malls or some, you know, like housing estates, or there is an economic zone. There is a port coming up. So these guys need experienced people, and they're willing to pay. So this is good. And also, if you are talking about the insurance sector, the insurance sector now is growing. So they are looking for people more on the sales part, you know, on the sales part.
Okay. Okay. And are they looking within the Myanmar market in terms of specific roles and skill sets? Besides that construction, are things like, which is in the other parts of the region, things like digital skill sets, IT, you know, technology stuff, is that in demand in Myanmar?
Yeah, there is a demand for people who have experience in digital marketing. There is demand for people who are more on the analysis. So, you know, they are looking for people who are analytical skills. So
like data scientists?
Yes, a bit of programmer, a bit of data scientist, this kind of thing. Because we have few startups here who try to basically take advantage of this situation and provide cheaper services versus like having a bigger company coming here to do this kind of services for local companies.
Okay. What kind of salaries for, say, like a data scientist or digital marketing specialist? Because I would assume that there probably isn't enough experienced people in Myanmar, so they would have to bring in expertise from overseas. What kind of salaries would they pay for example, for a social media marketing specialist or a data scientist, for example, to lead a team?
Yeah, for marketing people, like imagine somebody who's like it has 3 years of experience or 4 years of experience. Digital marketing, it can be anything between $1,000 to $2,200 if it's a bigger company. So not a very senior person.
Right.
And if you go more senior, for example, somebody looking for a head of the team, this can be double. You know, if you're heading a team. Usually now the banking sector started bringing in this kind of services. So digital marketing, you know, they try to become more mature on how they use these resources. So they try to stay away. Yeah.
So then in this case, Harry, if someone comes in, for example, from places like the Philippines, from Jakarta, from KL, will the local, I mean, these companies in Myanmar hire these sort of specific skill sets in digital marketing?
Yeah, they do hire. The only thing is that it's a market that you have to be here more. I mean, remotely now is tough, to do that, and you have to be here. So if they want to do this, it will be easier after probably January, February, to do this. Because it's not Myanmar market is like more, you need the personal touch, personal contact. You have to be here. This kind of thing.
Okay. So are you suggesting that come February or so, the borders will open for Myanmar? Is that the expectation locally?
Expectation is that February to March they will allow flights in, commercial flights in, but they're not sure if they say, for example, you have to have done the vaccination or you have to have the test, So they expect it will be a bit easier, but it's not like an official word, It's people expectation for the business. And based on that, I want to tell you, we think that February is a good time, so we are planning something for February.
Yes. Yeah, you had mentioned that because I think you had mentioned that was in the pipeline. You were planning some sort of virtual fair. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Actually, your fair is exclusive because you are the first media outlet. I think we don't have even a press release out for this. So the plan is that early February we're going to have a virtual fair. We expect to be quite big because traditionally MyJobs has been for the last 8 years doing a big physical events. Like we're talking about 8,000, 10,000 people in 2 days running in a hotel, looking for jobs. Except the digital part. And because of COVID, we didn't do anything after last March. Therefore, now we will focus more on this, and we see there is a strong interest. We see that companies are willing to participate, not only for getting the jobs to the candidates, but also in terms of promoting the brands. So there is about 4 days ago, the state councillor, she came on TV and she said, I have to push hard. It's going to push hard the digitalization of the economy, which means it's about jobs. It's about the e-government. It's about different projects they will do to provide services for the people from payments, for example. So this push, because it is just won again the election in November. So this push is a very timely push for companies like ours, because we have, MyJobs, because we've been here for many years, and because part of our investment is a local company, we have very strong links with the right people basically to create this link. So we have platforms, and we try to bring in basically government associations and government organizations, and this will.
So with this virtual platform, and again, in places, if we look at across the region, obviously places like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia have been early adopters of this virtual job fairs, and they've been running for a while already. They've been very successful in terms of, I think, employer branding, as you mentioned, because essentially in a market like this, when companies are hiring, the perception of them is very good. Oh, they must be doing well, therefore they are hiring. The other thing is also, which I wanted to ask you, Harry, which is linked to my earlier questions, is this an opportunity then for specific skill sets for people in ASEAN to then use your job fair in order to take advantage of potential opportunities? So I'm talking about cybersecurity, I'm talking about data scientists, digital marketing, and then, like you said, construction and also finance.
Yeah.
Is this opportunity?
Yeah, you're spot on that, because what we will try to bring in is try to enable people who want to come to Myanmar, either repats, because there are people, for example, Singapore has a lot of Myanmarese people who work there for a few years, Malaysia, yes. Vietnam has more. So the fact that it's virtual, it will be easier for them to link, and will give the capability to have live discussions directly with the employer through our systems. So either it's chat or video or whatever. So we'll allow them to go in a direct, basically, interview. So if they are on the booth, on the virtual booth of one of these employers, they can just say, hello, my name is X, and I'm now based in KL, and I'm looking for a job here, and then they will start discussing directly. It's not just how can I say? It's not just I send a mail or I send my CV and see what happens. So they will be able to engage directly in working hours, of course, 9 to 5 with the employers.
So Harry, given that scenario, what is your forecast for 2021?
I believe that if, for example, in Myanmar, we lost about 40 or 50% of whatever in terms of revenue or in terms of jobs, job posting, I believe that we will recover it by May or June. So basically, recovery will start by February, March, and by May or June, we'll come to the state we were back in March 2020. And then hopefully it will be even better when people, like feel more comfortable to travel, and invest.
Now, any final thoughts, Harry, in terms of our audience across ASEAN?
I mean, keep safe, be optimistic, because you cannot change the world, you just have to adapt.
Yes, absolutely. I think a key thing is about adapting. Thank you very much for taking the time to be on the show, Harry. We've been speaking to Harry Antarakis, the CEO of MyJobs Myanmar, a leading job portal, on BizTech's job show specifically on Myanmar. I'm Brian Fernandez. This video will be on our Facebook and LinkedIn sites, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please check out our website for business and technology conversations.